Boom. What is up, everybody? For those of you that are watching on Facebook right now, my name is K-Rail. I have a very good friend of mine on my live today, Brittany Auerbach. She is from Canada originally, and she likes to say the word about. And years ago, I taught myself how to speak Canadian, so I can say about with the best of them. And I can fool people into believing that I'm from Canada, but I'm actually not. I'm actually from the good old United States of America. Brittany is a natural healer. She is a naturopath, yes?
Yes.
And she knows more about functional food, using food as that medicine, than anybody else I've ever met in my life. She was featured in the movie Fasting along with me by Doug Orchard Films. She is an amazing person from head to toe, inside and out. She knows things that will blow your mind, and that's why I love talking to her, and that's why we're chatting today. And what we're going to go down the rabbit hole with today is a number of things, such as longevity, how to boost your immunity, how to stay strong mentally and physically and emotionally and spiritually during this weird, crazy time that's going on. And we're going to talk about some interesting things you may not know about, called like the mTOR pathway, for example. I'm going to call her out on that because I want to know what her take is on it. And we're going to talk about dieting and what the best diet is. And we're going to talk about fun stuff that comes to my mind. And my mind is like gerbils running around constantly in there and things just popping in my head. And I like to free float these. So that being the case, Brittany, welcome to Facebook Live Zoom with K-Rail today. You're welcome. So tell me, you are now in Panama, yeah?
I am. I got stuck here. Actually, I missed my flight out, so I got stuck in Panama, which is
What are
okay.
you doing? What in God's green earth are you doing in Panama? Let me ask you that.
Well, I don't stay in Canada typically in the winters. I'm really a fan of going, down south as much as possible. I spent a couple of years in the States. I do a lot of traveling, so I came down here actually to visit some family, and then I was going to do some traveling. I was actually leaving Panama to do some traveling through Central and South America when the whole COVID nightmare happened. So I kind of got trapped here. So yeah, I wasn't supposed to return to Canada. I spent sometimes summers in Canada, but yeah, I'm pretty flexible I move around pretty sporadically.
Okay, so you went to Panama to visit some friends, family.
Yeah.
Okay, you went there in February, March?
I left here. I came here in about December.
December, and were you planning on staying for a little while?
I was supposed to be here until May anyways, but I was going to travel around a lot. I wasn't supposed to stay this long in actual Panama, but that's okay. Things happen. You got to be flexible with life. It's 2020. It's a year of flowing. You grab a branch and you hold on for dear life and you wait for all these amazing things to happen. So it's not really, apparently I was looking into the spiritual aspect there. They're not really telling people to do too much action in 2020. It's one of those years where you're kind of going inwards and awakening that way. So it's okay. You got to go with the flow. Take it as it comes. There's worse places to be than Panama.
Hindsight is 2020, and I do like numbers that appear and emerge in serial fashion. And it's funny because we were just chatting this morning, and when you sent me a text message, it was at 11:11 a.m. So we were talking a little bit about the numerology aspect of numbers popping up, and we were discussing our psychic and our empathic abilities that both of us have before we went live here. And I find it absolutely amazing that I'm constantly seeing numbers that pop up that are like 1111, 222, 333 all the time. If any of you out there listening see numbers like that appearing, if you get a receipt from Whole Foods and it's like, it comes out to like this happens to me a lot too. It comes out to like 33 or 44. When those things happen to you, or you look at your watch and it's like a number that's like repeated over and over, that is a very good sign. Don't ever discredit that. There are signs around us all the time floating around. And what you have to do is you have to surrender to it and be open to it and notice that it's happening. So every single number has a correlation to it when you see it in a serial fashion like that. I'm not going to go into the nuts and bolts of it because I don't know exactly what all of them mean. But just know that's very important stuff. Usually that's a sign that your spirit guides are trying to contact you. Do you have anything to add to that, Brittany?
Well, I agree. And actually, the more I feel in harmony in general and aligned in my life, the more I notice that I do see repeat numbers, especially 1111. There was actually a meditation that I think Bruce Lipton, Dr. Rashid, and a woman, I can't remember her name, she's pretty amazing too though. They did a meditation live where they were telling everybody at 11 o'clock or 11:11 to do like a group meditation together because there was so much power at that time.
That's
and
perfect.
so So I definitely think that seeing repetitive numbers like that, it's a good idea to pay attention to signs like that, because it helps to show you that you're on path as well, right? And I
Yeah.
think we all use a little encouragement with that, especially when crazy things are happening in the world. So
I know, and I tend to think that the craziest things that are happening in the world right now are not the obvious ones. And I'm not going to elaborate on that at all because I don't want to ruffle any feathers or get anybody angry. But all I'm going to tell you is this: the truth is not told, the truth is learned. Just remember that and think about that. Stew on it, marinate it. Put that in your pot tonight when you're making pasta and marinate on it. Now, I want to talk about fasting. Sorry, I didn't mean to scare anybody. And by the way, please refrain from smoking during our show today. If you're doing day drinking, okay, no big deal. Just keep it to like 1 or 2 beverages a day. But please no smoking on set. We don't like to breathe in smoke. Brittany, are you doing any fasting these days?
I do intermittent fasting most days. So I'm doing it completely, I'm not trying to do anything rigid these days. I'm doing kind of like the no diet, the no forced fasting. I did fast for a couple of days when I was sick in February, and that really, really helped a lot. Or if I'm feeling tired or sluggish, like I'll fast for, most of the day. I'll eat one meal, maybe, kind of thing. I've done like liquid diet a couple of times, but I would say that my regular schedule is pretty intermittent fasting friendly. Like I haven't eaten yet. I'm not usually hungry until like noon, 1, and then I tend to eat later. So I still eat like an 8 or 9 hour window, but I eat sort of later in the day.
How many conversations have we had about late night eating? Any?
Oh, I know, but I don't consider it super late night when it's like, 8 or 9 and I only go to bed at like 12.
Tell that to your pancreas 6 years from now. I know what you're getting at.
I'm finding the balance, and I'm actually really enjoying it. I find that when I really listen to my body and I eat when I'm hungry, even if it's outside of specific windows, even though it's not perfect for health, for me personally, I find that my weight stabilizes better. I feel happier. I have more energy in general. I sleep better. So I really think there's an intuition aspect of it. Now, I know I shouldn't be up till 1 a.m. anyways doing work. I should be sleeping earlier. So my schedule's a bit off and I might not be the best person to follow for that. But typically, yeah, I eat about 2 meals a day, and I usually push the window quite a bit in the morning. So I'm really big on intermittent fasting, and I find it makes a huge difference for my digestion and my health in general.
Okay, we're going to come back to that, but I'm going to interrupt this regularly scheduled program to bring you the following announcements. So hold tight. I got to come back and I got to say hi to some people. By the way, if any of you out there are listening and you have any questions, I've got my cell phone on me here. And the reason why is because I heard rumors that Mark Zuckerberg was bringing back the live friends feature where I can be live and Brittany can be live in Panama from Facebook, which I'm going to do it again. With my hands in a prayer position, I'm going to beg you, Mark Zuckerberg, if you happen to hear my words or see my face, you're going to get sick of hearing this. Everybody else is. Please bring back the feature that we can go live on Facebook from any community in the world with 2 people on. It is so much easier and smoother and cleaner than Zoom. It's not even funny. Not that I'm discrediting Zoom. And by the way, not that I'm discrediting any of you that smoke from my comments earlier. Just please refrain from smoking while we're talking. That's all I'm asking. And I also want to give a healthy shout out to everybody who's watching out there right now. Hello, Craig. Good to hear you and see you. John Mackay, what's up, my brother? Hello to Jacob, Mandy, and Katie is on. Rin, hi, Rin. Good to see you. Anna, how you doing? And Lewis, how you doing? Okay, announcements out of the way. Fasting. There's a difference between time-restricted eating and intermittent fasting, by the way. I want to clear the air on it.
So time-restricted feeding is when you eat inside a certain window, like a circadian window. So yes. You typically don't eat like after 6 p.m. Intermittent fasting is different. It's where you eat in a short window, but it could be kind of at any time during the day. So time-restricted feeding is following the circadian rhythm. There's different hours to do it, but most people would do, let's say, like, 12 to 6 would be like yes. a common restricted window, or 10 to 6. If you're doing like a more 8-hour window, you can still do your 3 meals in there. But it's really following the laws of like pancreatic health and body health and the circadian clock.
I'm glad that we cleared the air on that, because there's a definite difference between time-restricted eating and intermittent fasting. And you kind of depicted it well. Some people do like 24 hours of fasting twice a week, like on Tuesday and Thursday or Monday and Friday. And then they kind of just eat normally the rest of the time. That, my friends, in my opinion, that is called intermittent fasting. So if you follow a tight schedule every single day, such as Brittany eats between 12 and 8, let's say, every single day of the week, that's time-restricted eating or time-restricted feeding. It depends on where you come up, where you're coming from, and who you've been what books you've been reading. But in a big picture, just know that there's a difference between intermittent fasting and time restricted eating. It's not all the same. However, the benefits are really good. And you started going down that rabbit hole. And since you opened it, Pandora's box, we're going down it right now. You mentioned gut health. And that's something that, I've been digging into that for so long, like in my teens, I'm talking about. I was always like, I've got a bad gut feeling about this. And like, you literally, your stomach just starts wrenching up and you just feel bad when something bad is about to happen. And then you just kind of know it's going to happen, and it does. And I connected those dots at a young age, because every time my stomach felt kind of queasy that something bad was going to happen, it did. So I connected the dots, and I'm like, well, everyone's paying attention to like sore joints and sore muscles and brain dysfunction, and like they can't see good and they don't sleep good and everything else and blah, blah, blah. And I started dialing in the way people were eating and the stuff they were eating. And I'm like, well, doesn't it make sense that if you digest food well, then your body's going to respond well to it? So if you have a kale salad with organic chicken breasts on top, and the rest of the week you eat garbage food and your bacteria in your stomach is all jacked up, you're probably not going to break that food down well and digest it. So how beneficial is it going to be to you? And it may discourage people from eating clean, because they go for the kale salad with the chicken breast and they don't feel any good response from it because their gut health is already demolished. But what makes sense is if you get your gut health in good shape and you build good strong bacteria, you're going to be able to break food down well, and your body's going to respond well. And you know when that's happening, because when you do have the kale salad and with the chicken breast on it, you feel really good energy levels. You feel less inflammation. You don't feel bloated. You don't feel brain fatigue. You feel amazing. And when you have something like, for me, I'm very sensitive to supplements, to caffeinated things, alcohol and stuff like that. If I have like 3 sips of alcohol, I'm immediately feeling it. And to me, that's actually a good sign. It's a sign to me that my body's breaking things down really well and really quickly. And if I have something that's caffeine in it, for example, a pre-workout formula or something, that I do have sometimes for my second workout of the day, I feel the effects like within 2 sips of it, and instantly, and my brain functions through the roof, and my energy's through the roof. And to me, that's a sign that, yes, maybe I am sensitive to things, but it's also a sign that I feel my gut is in good position, in good health. Now, I know for a fact, Brittany, we've had conversations in the past, you kind of were that person that had the bad gut health at one time, and then you repaired your gut from the tragedy that you had, and then you figured out the mathematics. So I want you to expand a little bit on your journey with bad gut health to good gut health, and the importance of it, and how someone else can benefit as well.
Definitely. And I mean, I had like the worst gut. I had the worst gut health. It was terrible. I had like 10 different gut conditions and diagnoses. I had taken so many antibiotics. I had completely demolished all my beneficial bacteria. And I had about 10 years of an eating disorder on top of that. So it took my body about 2 years just to relearn. Before I could even focus on gut health, it took my body 2 entire years to learn how to digest food.
Wow.
Like to be able to actually break down, like my stomach, the food would sit in it for like 2 or 3 days. Like I had gastroparesis. It just wouldn't go down. It would just be like a fire acid coming back up my esophagus. It was really awful. But to be fair, I didn't know what I know now about gut health. I don't think it would have taken 2 years for that if I knew what I know now and I had to redo that journey. So I'm happy to share what made the biggest difference. Everybody's gut is different. This is the thing that I've noticed as I work with people with gut health. There isn't one formula for everybody. Some people will benefit from bone broth. Other people will get diarrhea from it if they have kidney problems or gut problems or glutamic acid problems, or they were heavily vaccinated with MSG, like, preservatives and stuff. Other people, they'll be fructose intolerant. Some people will thrive on fruit because bananas are easy to digest and so is watermelon, but not a person who has really bad dysbiosis. Like I had fructose malabsorption. You might not be able to do fermented food if you have histamine intolerance, right? So the key to healing your gut is actually to become intuitive. And you can get like, food allergy tests and those kind of things as well. And there's certain ones like MRT and certain stool tests you can do. They're not super accurate though. But one of the main things you can do is start to actually keep track of what causes bloating, what causes gas, what causes diarrhea, what makes you feel bad. If every time you eat meat, it sits in your stomach forever, then you may not want to eat meat for a while. So it's really about getting in tune. I can share what worked for me, but I've noticed working with people that the journey is different for almost everybody. So there are certain things people can do like GAPS or AIP and like low allergenic diets. But what worked the most for me was to start to get rid of some of the infections I had in the gut while simultaneously slowly increasing my fiber because I was completely fiber intolerant. And, I could have just gone carnivore like a lot of people are, which is like managing your bad gut, but it doesn't fix your bad gut. Do you know what I mean? Like we should
Yeah.
be able to eat a large amount of food. The key is to learn how to diversify your diet and your gut microbiome so you can eat more food, not to like undiversify the foods you're eating. So what helped me a lot was raw extra virgin coconut oil. So what I did was I started doing 2 to 3 tablespoons of that every day, like a big, huge heaping tablespoon, like before every meal with a bit of warm tea. Things like slippery elm powder helped my gut a lot. I did green juices for nutrients instead of doing a lot of salads and things for me personally. So I was doing like a little bit of celery, cucumber, leafy greens, that kind of thing. If juices gave me diarrhea, which happens a lot for people that have gut problems, you can take a bit of psyllium fiber or a little bit of slippery elm powder with it at the same time to slow down the absorption of it. I had to decrease like the amount of carbs and stuff in my diet. I was mostly vegan because I couldn't digest meat, but I was doing like a lot of like almond milk, vegan protein shakes with coconut oil, and maybe like a small bit of almond butter, cinnamon. I was doing like the fiber I was eating was like a bit of celery with like nut butter. I was doing a bit tahini salads, but really small amounts. I was blending a lot of my food. I wasn't keto though. I was still eating like bananas and things like that, but that was like the only fruit I could really eat. So I was really doing liquid a lot. And I know a lot of people, they do like bone broth fasting is awesome, or they'll do like chicken soup only. And that could be really helpful. But the key is we have an intuition. The key is to stop eating the foods that you know are injuring your gut. And if you really have no idea, you can do an intolerance test, because your gut will never heal if every 2 days you're eating something that harms it badly. And so some people can do oatmeal, other people they can't. It's not about, oh my God, you can't eat anything. There's like only 3 foods you can eat. You can have a pretty diverse diet, but you just have to really listen to your body. Like for me, I couldn't eat avocados. Now I love them, but starting liquid, doing more blending, doing very small increases of vegetables and raw stuff, like start with blending it into smoothies, eventually have small salads with like a cooked soup, slowly increase your fiber. But I would focus on like fats and liquid and hydration and coconut oil and small amounts of fermented food. You can do some probiotics too, but small amounts of fermented food, like I'm talking like a tablespoon to start of like sauerkraut juice, not even the sauerkraut. If you're histamine intolerant, you are most likely still going to be okay with like a teaspoon of fermented liquid, but that can start putting good bacteria back in the body. And the key is to kind of starve out the bad microbiome. Fasting is another thing that can be super powerful. But what fasting does is it starves out your current microbiome. It doesn't actually fix the bacterial balance in your gut. Like if you don't have a lot of strains of good bacteria, it's not miraculously going to put them back. So you can fast for a period of time on juices, bone broth, water with a bit of Celtic salt for like 3 to 7 days. And then once your microbiome is weaker, then you want to start with the coconut oil to keep it weaker, get rid of the fungus and all that, while simultaneously doing fermented food. So it's a bit of a balancing act. But you can see amazing results really quickly with just intermittent fasting, eating more liquid, or doing pure fasting for a few days, then slowly increasing your fiber, doing like coconut oil and like ginger tea, turmeric tea is very anti-inflammatory, but it's not going to create bloating the way like onions and garlic and some other things will if you have gut problems. So it's like ginger, turmeric, coconut oil are kind of a really good booster. Looking at HCl2, hydrochloric acid supplements can help if your stomach acid is really low at the beginning. When you do eat a bigger meal or you feel bloated, take a couple of those. It will really help with the digestive process. But it's a bit of a slow, like it takes about 6 months to really start to form a good quality microbiome if you're being really conscientious with it. So the key is to balance things that suppress the bad without killing the good. And then just increase fiber incrementally. So that was really what helped me the most.
That all sounds like sage advice. I agree 100% with everything you said. And I am still a big fan of coconut oil, although some of the elitists out there are shaking their finger in my face telling me stay away from coconut oil and stay away from all oils. All oils are the devil now all of a sudden. Eat seeds and nuts. Eat avocados. Don't have avocado oil. Don't have coconut oil. Don't have extra virgin olive oil. They're telling me all this stuff. I found algae oil the other day at Whole Foods. You ever had algae oil before?
I haven't, no.
I love it. Love it. It's got a high smoke point as well. It's high in monounsaturated fat. And I absolutely love it. I've been putting it on everything. I personally am not afraid of oils still. Never was. I don't use them extravagantly. I don't use a ton of oil, maybe a tablespoon a day when I'm making preparation well, if I'm preparing something in a frying pan or something, or I'll add it to salad or vegetables or something like that. I don't need a ton of it. But you're mentioning, you're just like calling out extra virgin coconut oil and saying it's the bomb. And I used to love eating it by the tablespoon as well. I just like the flavor of it. I used to do oil pulling with it too. I got to start doing that again. You ever do oil pulling? That's
I
fun.
did. I love it. I used to have, so I was bulimic for a long time, and that really damaged my parotid glands. And for many, many years after, I was getting just like swollen face syndrome where my face would just like bloat because my glands were like retaining water or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And what helped me a lot at that time was actually oil pulling with I would use coconut oil with just a drop of lemon essential oil.
Ooh, yeah.
And that actually helps to pull. So if you're having salivary issues, tonsil issues, strep throat, throat stuff, sinus stuff, ear infections, that can actually be really helpful for pulling like lymphatic toxins. It's really great at stimulating more natural salivary enzymes as well, which cleans the mouth, it alkalizes the mouth, it gets rid of cavities. Oil pulling is awesome. And oils in general are awesome. I agree, unless you're looking at like if you're eating a really minimalist diet like I was doing a lot of coconut oil and olive oil, because oils, they won't really irritate your gut that much when you're,
Right.
Healing. But yeah, now I'm not a person who eats like 10 tablespoons of coconut oil a day or anything, but like I'm definitely not scared of oil. I went through about a 2 or 3 year period of time where I was a staunch high carb vegan. I was like scared of a lot of avocado, not eating a lot of nuts and seeds, like tons of fruit. I felt like crap. I did. It wasn't like it was just a detox and you'll feel amazing. Like I felt so much better. I would smell olive oil in a restaurant from across the room and I'd want to drink it out of the jar. Okay. We need to be intuitive. Like we need to listen to our body. And I just personally feel a lot better when I do incorporate enough healthy fats in the diet hormonally and everything else. So.
Well, I've got a couple things to add. You brought a good point up, which is I've always encouraged people to eat the diet that works best for you. Don't follow a diet plan. It's like being told the truth and believing the truth to be true, and it's not actually true. Don't believe a diet plan is going to work for you if it worked for somebody else. The best diet plan for you, I'm pointing to you, Brittany, is not the best diet plan for me. I'm 6'3", 185 pounds, and I'm a dude. So, and I don't know I know what your gut issues are because you just rattled them off. You don't know what my gut issues are. You don't know what works best for me. So the bottom line, I say this all the time, people, always create awareness in your diet. Always create awareness in your life, let alone a diet. Create awareness in when you're walking across the street, when you turn on the television, which I don't recommend you do anytime soon, and when you're talking to people outside of your network of friends. Always open your eyes and remember that every situation is safe or dangerous. Every situation can hurt you or every situation can be safe. Always stick with safe. And your food is the primary one to be safe or dangerous with. And recognize what happens to your body when you eat or drink certain things. Are you going to feel bloated? Are you going to break out in hives? Are you going to have brain function issues? Are your eyes going to start getting blurry? Are you going to feel dizzy when you eat something? If you do, you probably shouldn't be eating it. Is pineapple going to make your mouth break out in like hives? Are you going to form spots on your face? You probably shouldn't eat pineapple. So you have to create awareness of what you're eating. But while we're talking about this, I want to go down to another road that has to do with diet. Now, I'm a big biohacker, first of all, and I like to try to reverse the aging process and boost my immune system through the roof. So when this coronavirus thing came to town, I looked at the facts, I looked at things that were going on, and I'm like, wait, I remember back in January, there was this huge hubbub going on about the flu epidemic in America. And they were showing stats across America and how bad it was. It was worse than 3 years or 4 years or something like that ago. And all the attention was on the flu, just the flu, mind you, back in January. And I don't recall, I'm pretty sure I skied about 10 times in January. I don't recall any resorts being closed. I don't recall grocery stores being closed or gyms being closed or post offices or anyone. I don't remember anyone batting an eyelash. And I didn't watch the news. I just saw like some pop-ups here and there on the computer and stuff about how bad the flu epidemic was. I'm like, wow, well, thank God I didn't get a flu shot because I don't like shots, first of all, and I especially don't like flu shots. So I'm like, holy smoke, the flu looks like it's out of control this year. And I just whistled and I skied. I didn't even think about it. Fast forward a month and a half, coronavirus hits town. I don't hear a peep about the flu. I don't hear about the deaths or the issues or the illnesses or the deaths or anything. And I'm like, wait, didn't we just, what happened to the flu epidemic? Flu epidemic disappears, coronavirus comes to town, that gets shut down, this goes into play, and now we're not allowed to leave the house. And I'm like, it doesn't look to me like the statistics are matching. Like flu is like up here compared to like where I'm seeing right now. Now I'm like looking at the data of what they told us was going to happen and what's actually happening. So I'm like, the flu was off the charts bad as far as deaths and causes and illnesses and people dying. Then all of a sudden it disappears. Coronavirus comes to town. They claimed that this was going to happen, and like this happened. So I'm like, what happened to the flu? Where'd it go? Did everyone just get healed of the flu? And what happened to all the people that had other conditions? Did they just disappear too? So I don't mean to change subjects all of a sudden, but something you said just like sparked that in my brain, and I can't get it out of my head. So I don't know what's happening out there. I really don't. And that's why all I do is I pay attention to awareness in my food, awareness in the people I talk to, awareness with the sky. Is it blue or is it sunny or is it cloudy or is it raining or snowing? And I try to just put positive chi out there. And I think happy thoughts, and I try to build a force field around me to keep all the negative crap away. And I only focus on solutions. So I always invite everyone else to do the same. And that's a bottom line thing that I'm trying to get across to everybody. Every time I do a live, every time I walk out in the streets, and people look at me with a crooked eye because I don't wear gloves and I don't wear masks, and they're like, you got to do this and you got to do that and this is bad and blah, blah. I'm like, I know it's bad. We know how bad it is. Why do we have to keep saying how bad it is? The more you say how bad something is, guess what happens? Get really close to the computer so you can hear me. When you keep putting negative attention out there, you create more negative tension. And you create attention to negative tension. And it gets worse. And it propagates the problem. And thousands of bad things can happen. But when you stop that right there and say, nope, I'm getting up today. I can open my eyes. I can breathe. I feel good. Good. I'm going to work out as much as I can. I'm going to strengthen my immune system as much as I can. I'm going to think positive thoughts. And I'm going to try to get as many other people on board with the same idea as I can. That is the secret sauce, in my opinion. But what is your take on that whole thing? Going from like high flu numbers, all of a sudden the flu disappears. I'm like, I don't get it. Do you know what I'm getting at? Did you hear any of this?
Oh yeah, and I've been doing a lot of research about all of this stuff too. And I posted a few videos on my channel actually recently about like the 5G link and all that. But so looking at the CDC stats, not like made up statistics, like the actual Center for Disease Control stats on their website, in let's say January, February time, the amount of deaths that they were causing from COVID, you know, at the end of February, were identical to the exact amount that people normally die from the flu. So keep in mind that, here's my take on it. Okay, so from the research I'm doing, there's a lot of people talking about this stuff. Like anybody who's interested can go digging through this rabbit hole. It's really easy to find this information, though it gets deleted pretty quickly. But a lot of medical doctors are speaking out about the fact that anybody coming into hospitals now who have any symptoms of anything at all, you could be having a heart attack, they get tested for COVID and then they get marked as having COVID if they come back positive. Now, there's a bit of a problem because the current way of testing for COVID is to test for exosomes, not RNA. So for those of you guys that don't know, viruses are basically RNA. It's like a single molecular strand. It's like a half a DNA strand is you have to like filter the secretions of a person to be able to isolate the RNA and then to be able to like compare that RNA to other RNA, find out what family it's from. There's like a whole process that they are not doing. What they're doing is they're swabbing people, or when people are in the hospital, they're filling their lungs with a little bit of liquid. Then they're letting it swish around and then they're sucking it back up. So what they're doing, yeah, and they're pulling, you know, so anyway, when the test comes back positive, what it's coming back positive for is actually the presence of exosomes, which is a natural chemical, like a natural material that your cells excrete when they've been poisoned or when they're exposed to toxins. So now, that toxic exposure could be anything, and 90% of us are going to test positive for COVID, i.e., or AKA exosomes, because if you breathe in chemtrails, if you eat junky food, if you're near exhaust, if you are fearful, if you're stressed, if you don't exercise, if you're dehydrated, if anything happens, like it could be like a bird poops on you and that bird was exposed to chemicals and that gets absorbed in your skin, you could be producing exosomes. It could also be EMFs, 5G, a lot of other things happening in our environment right now. And so the test is inaccurate. A lot of the tests are contaminated. There's a lot of information about this. I'm not going to cite too many things just for ease of time, but you guys can look that stuff up. So essentially what they're doing right now is they're no longer treating people that have any conditions other than COVID. And every person that comes into the hospital, even if you had a car accident, even if you sprained your ankle, even if you have a dental issue, if you had a heart attack, if you have cancer, if you're already in hospice, you're getting treated for COVID. When you test positive for these exosomes, which you will if you're sick with anything else, they then classify you as COVID and they start treating you for COVID instead of even if you have no symptoms of COVID, like let's say you have no respiratory symptoms, you're having a heart attack, okay? Your leg is busted. They're gonna start treating you with medications and treatments and oxygen and all kinds of weird things that are made to treat COVID. So they're killing people on a mass scale, and I'm not afraid to say that because doctors are saying that. A lot of people are dying because they're being treated inadequately in hospitals, and a lot of people are being given medications and other things that aren't helping their actual situation. You know, like a ventilator is not going to do much for a person having a heart attack. Like there are other steps. They need magnesium infusions, they need IV, they need a lot of other things that may or may not be used simultaneously. So the numbers are totally skewed. And even with these skewed numbers, I think right now, the total deaths, if I'm not mistaken, in the US at this point are 32,000. And just to give an idea, the typical statistics of a person dying from the flu in the US every single year before COVID is about 60,000+ people. So half the amount of people are dying this year from respiratory illnesses or COVID as they would be typically from the flu. So, you know, this entire thing is, number one, overblown. It's a complete cover. There is a virus, there is COVID, it's man-made, it was patented and played with in the US in 2014, at which point the US closed down funding for that. So Fauci took it across borders to China, where they were in a lab in Wuhan playing with this virus, trying to make it virulent, trying to make it aggressive, trying to make it so that the human body, they were mixing it with strains of SARS and strains of HIV to create a virus that your body doesn't very easily create antibodies for, to justify a mandatory vaccine agenda that's coming up. So basically it's a man-made virus. It's abnormal and it's weird, but it isn't killing anybody, or it isn't killing anybody that wouldn't be dying anyways from other causes. Or that people that would have died from the flu anyways. And so that's kind of what I think is going on. I think it's a cover-up to allow 5G implementation to happen without intervention from the population. I think it's to keep us distracted from the fact that our rights are being targeted. They're keeping us in quarantine for obscene amounts of time. There is not a single virus on planet Earth since the history of time ever created, even man-made, that your body cannot defend, heal, or create herd immunity to if we're exposed within like less than 3 weeks to a month's time. This whole notion of keeping people locked in is stopping herd immunity. It's stopping it. It's going to create a second wave of more stress. These oxygen masks are deoxygenating us, creating health problems, weakening our immunity. Keeping people inside is killing more old people from loneliness and depression and fear than exposure to the virus would. And there are so many natural remedies. I have an entire protocol in my Wevolve tribe that's like exactly how to get rid of COVID based on what we know about it. For one, coconut oil. Camu powder, half a teaspoon every 2 hours for 3 or 4 days. You do 4 tablespoons of raw virgin coconut oil a day when you have COVID, and you're looking at less than 7 days total problem in the body. There's so many natural remedies that people can do: alkalizing, fasting, sleeping, resting, getting out in nature, the biophotons from the sun, the negative ions from the earth. Like, we don't need to be scared of viruses, people. We need to be scared of weird, creepy agendas that are locking us in our houses, making us feel like that's normal, and offering and refusing to treat us. Like, we should be scared of a system that's refusing to treat us for the real health conditions we have and labeling us something that is inadequately tested. You know, and so I know that was all really like hardcore, but the more I'm reading about this, the more obscene I think it is, and the more we're paying attention to something that's a non-issue. And furthermore, not to go too much on a tangent, but I will do a separate video about this on my channel, but viruses are not, first of all, so let's talk for 2 seconds about the microbial balance, okay? When a person is toxic for any reason, or they eat bad food, or they're sick, or they have immune dysfunction, or they've taken an antibiotic or whatever, bad bacteria will overgrow. Like, the bacteria that can survive a toxic environment will overgrow to keep you alive. So bad bacteria and SIBO and those things are to keep you alive. When the bacteria get poisoned, and the bad bacteria are at risk of dying also, they get really toxic and virulent, and your body becomes at risk from having too many of them. That's when the fungus kicks in. The fungus will bind to the metals, it'll bind to the poisons, it'll neutralize the EMFs, it'll create biofilms, it'll protect your tissues from damage. So bacteria help you, even bad ones, then fungus overgoes to protect you. When the fungus gets too virulent that it's absorbing all your sugars, messing with your pancreatic function, and to the point where it could actually kill you, then the parasites step in. Then you get worms, they start to eat dead tissue, dead rotting viruses, dead rotting cells. whatever else, bad damaged DNA. And then when the parasites get so big that they're eating all your nutrients and you're at risk of dying and being very sick, that's when the body creates the only death microbe, which is a non-alive microbe. The other ones feed on dead and disease tissue, but really the virus is the only not alive organism that there is. It's an incomplete DNA. It is not alive. It's a dead. It's not like reproducing like crazy because it's alive and it's trying to get you. It's not coming at you from anywhere. Your body will never house a virus or ever catch a virus ever if you don't have toxins inside that have your bacteria, your parasites, and your virus and your fungus overloaded. So if you're dealing with viral issues, you're toxic and sick already. It's not the virus that's making you sick. You need to clean up your lifestyle. And so educating people, a much better approach to addressing viral pandemic issues are not, oh my God, we're scared of catching it from someone else, which COVID is not airborne for the record. It's liquid borne. So you have to kiss someone, hug someone, sleep with someone, secrete
sneeze on someone, cough on someone with sputum coming out. Right?
But even then, the other person's body would only catch it if they have bad immune system and if they are poisoned from something else. So the real source is what's poisoning people so that they can't fight COVID, number one. The second thing is, why don't we educate people on what a virus really is and how it isn't the contagious model we're taught to believe? Why don't we allow ourselves to go out, get herd immunity, and give people a protocol, a simple, easy, inexpensive protocol that for 1/1000th the cost of funding vaccine research, we could provide these supplements to every human in all of America for literally 1/1000th the cost, okay, of what they're putting into vaccine research, which is toxic and all that other stuff too. And also there's so many strains of COVID and it's morphing so quickly that even main specialists and medical doctors from Harvard, Tom Villiers just did an interview with, I forget his name, a Harvard anti-aging specialist, okay, where, and they're super mainstream, but they basically said very clearly that the vaccine won't work because there's about 20 or 30 new morphed strains of it now, and the vaccine will only work for one strain. So even if you take the vaccine and the microchip and all the other poisons in it, you're still not gonna get immune. You're not, because there's 20 strains. You're gonna get COVID next 5. This entire thing is ludicrous. If you actually look at it, there's no science. It's like crazy, you know? But so we need to give a protocol to people, simple protocol, a natural protocol, an immune boosting protocol, not just to protect them from COVID or any other man-made creepy things that are being done by evil elitists, but we actually need to teach people how to be healthy, how to go back to nature. We won't have any pandemic. Like, it'll be the end of all of this. It's the approach is totally wrong, you know? So anyway, that's my thought on it. Sorry, that was a bit of a tangent.
Wow. That was like a 15-minute tangent, and please give my French, but what you just did is called, in my world, a mulabanda bitch slap. That's what you just gave us. And I love those, by the way, because I give them and I take them. I take them with the best of them and I give them with the best of them. And sometimes I go down that rabbit hole, and when I feel passionate about something, I just let it rip. But that was, you know, you were spot on with everything you said. And I'm tired of all, like, you know, I'm not known to like hold my tongue very often with things, but I've been kind of holding back a little bit with this. But now as like the time is going on and I'm starting to see the destruction of the world that's happening and the economy, and like people are like really getting in a bad spot right now. And that just wrenches my heart, because I'm empathic, but I'm also very emotional. I'm actually a closet romantic, for some of you who don't know that. And I always lead with love. And sometimes I come off as like, hi-ya, or militant or something like that, or vigilant. But it's only because I can't stand to see the bully win. I can't stand narcissists. I just eliminated narcissists from my life last month. My life has gotten so good the past few weeks. It's unbelievable. And it just keeps getting better every day. And the more I focus on positive, happy, healthy things, the more positive, healthy, happy people are starting to re-enter my life or enter my life for the first time. And all of you out there, you probably are noticing right now, some people that were in your life before that were causing you problems are starting to peel away, and you're starting to gather good people in your life, or better ones. And what I'm telling you to do is this: take ownership for yourself. You're the master. Remember that. You are the master. Not someone you work with, someone down the street, someone who's trying to push something on you that makes you feel uncomfortable. The minute you start letting fear take control, your cortisol levels start to rise. And part of the reason you're getting fat at home and gaining the COVID-19, which is 19 pounds of fat, isn't because you're eating around the clock. It's because fear is in control, cortisol's out of whack, insulin's out of whack, fat storage hormones are going up, and you're gaining weight because you live in fear. So the bag of chips you're eating at night isn't necessarily the reason why you're gaining weight. I don't mean to sound like a jerk when I say that. What I'm telling you though is this. Brittany made some really good points. We have control. We have the power. The people have the power. You do. You have control. You have 100% control of what you eat and drink. You have 100% control of if you're going to take a barefoot walk on the grass to do earthing and grounding and take your shirt off and get some sunlight. Yes, even if you're a woman, you can take your shirt off. It's totally fine. I don't think you'll get arrested.
Now, there's no one around. They're all in quarantine.
Yeah, you're all in quarantine. Take your shirt off and go outside. Lay down on the grass. Those are the key things that can keep you healthy. They could be the things that will keep you out of doctor's offices and hospitals. They will keep you away from having to leave work early because you got a headache and you got a stomach ache and you got a bellyache because you ate and drank too much the night before. Clean diet. I mean, let's just go back to the basics. Longevity, gut health, boosting your immune system. All these things are super critically important, not just to avoid COVID, but to avoid the common cold, to avoid the flu, to avoid cancer, to avoid Alzheimer's disease, to avoid any kind of all-cause mortality. The list goes on and on. Ownership of your health. And just like Brittany was saying about rebuilding your gut health slowly over time, you can rebuild your overall health slowly over time. And what a better time to do so, in my opinion, than quarantine time right now. Start gradually eating better. Start gradually exercising more. Start with 10 minutes exercise a day. Build it up to 20. Build it up to 30. Start doing 2 workouts a day, 30 minutes at a time. Start eating cleaner. Start weeding out the bad habits. Stop eating late at night. All these things can be cumulative over time, and they can turn you into a powerhouse. Your brain is going to function better. Your body's going to function better. Your gut is going to break down food better. And before you know it, you're going to be rocking and rolling. Like, yeah, total of rock and rolla. And that is the secret sauce to prevent any kind of problems from happening. And, you know, you're rattling off all those supplements and stuff that you could take for as remedies. And I would say not only can they help prevent COVID, but they can prevent pretty much anything that I was saying before. It's like an all-encompassing thing. You build a strong immunity and a good brain and positive emotions in your body, you're going to attract more of that, and you're going to be more bulletproof to everything in life, including emotional upswings and downswings. The rate of like depression and anxiety and suicide nowadays is off the charts. And I think there was a spike in that when the coronavirus first hit in certain states, down in the South especially, I was seeing it. And all of that has to do with starting with your gut and improving that, and then working your way outward. So I want to shift gears just a little bit though. And I want to ask you what your take is on, you know, because we were in movie fasting, we had some direct links to some of these scientists and stuff. And I'm just like enamored with what foods affect people differently. So Dr. Walter Longo, he's pretty much claiming that a plant-based whole food diet is going to help downregulate the mTOR pathway. So mTOR is an abbreviation, an acronym that stands for mammalian target of rapamycin. When you eat a lot of animal protein, the mTOR pathway gets flipped on, and your body creates a high nitrogen balance, so you're able to build and maintain lean muscle mass really well, and you get buffed up and bulked up. But the problem with the mTOR pathway being flipped on over and over again is that it also proliferates negative cells in your system to increase your risk for cancer and diabetes and all these other conditions. So according to him, going plant-based vegan is the best way to avoid that and to reverse the aging process and to age gracefully. So, Miss Arrowback, I'm going to ask you the question. Do you believe that the plant-based vegan diet is the say-all, do-all best way to help reverse the aging process and age as gracefully as possible? And if not, what is your suggestion? Just your suggestion.
So that's a really good one. And I'm not going to pretend that I know everything there is to know about anti-aging and perfect health, because we're learning new things every day. And my mind is blown with every new week of research that I do. And anybody who's in the health space, any expert in the world, the day they stop learning and stop researching and stop discovering, they basically flatlined in their ability to help people, because new science is coming out all the time. And there is infinite science that we will never understand in our lifetimes. So I'm a really big believer in simplifying things as much as possible. The longest living cultures in the world are majority plant-based, but not exclusively. I don't know any cultures of entire people who are 100% vegan. Now you're talking to a girl who was 100% vegan for the majority of 10 years, okay?
Yeah.
By choice. And I'm not always vegan, and I'm not, I don't subscribe to a specific diet. So my experience listening to my body has created more anti-aging than any specific diet that I stuck to. I think that eating more plant-based is infinitely better for your gut, for your health, for your beneficial bacteria, for your immune system, for life force, for alkalizing, for enzymes, for cleansing purposes. And I think it's really important to eat a mostly plant-based diet. I'm not a person who subscribed to the idea that a carnivore diet is the healthiest diet out there. I just don't believe it. There are almost no cultures that are fully carnivore. There are some in the north and all that, but in our world of heavy pollution, animals are more toxic than plants are in this moment. Plants have a filtration system that animals don't necessarily have when they're in factory farms or even grass-fed, but with chemtrails and everything else. It would be like we're eating each other with vaccines and shots and hormones and birth control pills. And do you know what I mean? It's like the more you eat higher up the food chain, the more you're actually absorbing toxins as well. But I don't believe that you need to be 100% vegan, and I don't necessarily believe that you should be 100% vegan for optimal health. I have personally found in my own body that I go through phases. I'll be totally plant-based and I'll feel really, really good. And then I'll start really craving a lot of animal protein for some reason. And maybe I'll go through like a week where I eat a lot of eggs. Maybe I'll have some raw cheese or raw milk or fermented into kefir. Maybe I'll have even like a piece of meat or whatever when I'm in the mood for it. And I always feel really good from that. Like I don't feel bad when I eat animal foods, but I didn't feel that great when I was eating extremist vegan. I felt like something was missing. I didn't feel as good as I could. Now, I'm not a person with a perfect gut. Maybe a person in a perfect world with a perfect gut would be able to get everything they need from plant foods because you would have bacteria that synthesize a lot of these things. And we would live in a more natural world. We're exposed to more earth and everything. But in today's environment, I think there's fat soluble nutrients that really do help metabolic and detoxification pathways in the liver and everything else, like choline and certain things from egg yolks. And I'm not a person, I don't believe in animal cruelty of any kind. It's why I was vegan. I'm not into factory farms. I'm not even really into killing animals to eat them. Like, I know sometimes I eat meat and stuff, but like psychologically, I don't love the idea. I don't. However, I have gone to farms with super happy chickens who lay eggs all day long and they're eating an organic feed and they're completely free and they don't need their eggs. They don't care. Like they forget about them. There's a new egg every day and they're like running in flocks and they're really happy to give up some of their eggs. So I'm not saying eggs are the healthiest food alive, but I'm saying you can incorporate some animal foods like some grass-fed butter, some raw milk and all of that, and see how you feel. It's all about how you feel. So I believe that a diet that has, like, I don't subscribe anymore to the idea of high carb with like no fat. I don't believe that that's best for human health. I've seen it in my own skin, in my health, in my weight, in my everything when I do incorporate fats in the diet. I've also tried to go strictly keto and I don't feel that great. And the fact that as soon as you eat over a certain amount of carbs, your body kicks you right the hell out of it. I think that ketosis is when you're fasting, and if you do nutritional ketosis for a period of time, it can be very healing for certain things. But I don't think that it's an emergency response of the body, because the second it has access to glucose, it chooses that. So that's what clearer sign is it that your body wants that. So I think for longevity, you're looking at a high plant-based diet, lots of greens, especially herbs, more than traditional greens like kale, basil, dill, oregano, sage, parsley. Making salads and taboulehs out of this, eating a lot more greens that way in your smoothies, juicing a lot more bitter foods like chicory, consuming high ORAC foods like adding more clove, having a lot more like if you want to do goji berries, but like cinnamon is amazing for your health and for blood sugar.
I put it in everything. Love cinnamon.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm really about high nutrient foods. And like I've noticed, I don't know if you guys can tell, but I had almost like 30% gray hair at the age of 27. And I might have like and I dyed my hair my entire life. It wasn't growing. My hair is completely natural with zero dye in it. And I probably have 3 gray hairs on my entire head. So I have hair that's brown with gray ends, okay, that I've cut out the gray. So you can anti-age at a significant level, even after many years of damage and ravage to the body. But you have to approach your diet, not from a place of like, ugh, I'm sick and I have to eat this stuff, or I have to eat a salad so I have to, but from like wanting to do it. If you make a hot chocolate, add clove and nutmeg and cinnamon spice and raw cacao and fresh almond milk that you make yourself, or coconut milk with the healthy MCTs, and then with raw honey with the nutritional benefits. Like, it's all about finding things you love and having harmony with your food, loving what you're eating. So if you're a diehard meat lover, don't go fully vegan because Walter Longo said to do it, like, with no disrespect. But like, you have to like love your life, and we're living in such a crazy world. We're not guaranteed longevity kind of at any rate at this
Nope.
point. You need to eat food you love, live in a way that you love, eat food that makes you feel good, eat a balanced diet. Don't subscribe to any doctrine because someone told you it's the best way. I mean, there are people that are thriving on carnivore. Like, there are people that are eating like only starches and doing really well, like potatoes and that kind of thing. So just find what works for you. But I think high plant-based but balanced and enough
Well,
fat.
it comes down to awareness, what we were talking about earlier. Find out what works best for you. And I want to try to lower the complexity level here 1 or 2 notches, right? We try to make things so complicated all the time in life. You don't need complexity. You just need basics. Clean, healthy food. If when in doubt, just go with clean, healthy food. No hormones, no antibiotics, no high fructose corn syrup. Try to go local organic as much as possible, all natural as much as possible, and stick to the basics. Then you can get fancier as you go along, but also stick to the basics that work for you the best. And general longevity and reversing the aging process, those are biohacking tricks of the trade. That's some very deep research. And like Brittany was saying, that research changes every day of the week. The mTOR pathway thing, I mean, I always dig deep into that. And what I was doing on October 1st this past year, when I was out in Florida last year, I was doing, and I met up with you and Jared and Doug. At that point, I was doing like 90% vegan, and I had like literally 2 animal protein meals a week. And October 1st, I went to a local vegan potluck, and I was like, I think I'm going to try to do vegan plant-based strict for an entire year and see what happens. And if I feel any way along that path that I'm losing energy, I'm losing brain function, I don't feel good, I'm feeling flabby, I'm feeling weak, I'm losing muscle mass, I'm flipping the switch back over to animal protein. Because I know before I did the 100% pure vegan plant-based, it was working well for me. And I especially remember the combination of eggs and quinoa in a meal with me with lots of vegetables. I would make this big scrambled egg stir fry with all those things. And I have all these different vegetables in there, kale and mushrooms, peppers, onions, you name it. I'd chop them up and I'd make this big scramble. And I would feel like Superman after I ate that meal. Solid as a rock. I'd wake up the next day, my workouts, I would just crush them. And I know that combination worked well for me. And it was partially animal-based. So you people out there have to come up with the same kind of thing. Figure it out for yourself. Use awareness. Eliminate some things that you don't think are working. Add some things you think that might. And definitely get in tune with the spices and the herbs. I couldn't agree with Brittany more. I think those are like, God put those on earth for us to pluck off trees and pull out of the ground and use to our advantage to help keep us away from the shots and the needles and the pills and the pharmaceutical industry, because all that allopathic stuff was created years ago for, I don't know what kind of reason why. I guess for, probably the intentions were good at first, and then the intentions became bad as years went by, which is always the case with everything, really. So go out there and use the herbs and stuff to your advantage. I love the idea that you said. I do like really crazy things. Sometimes I'll pull like a little piece of, I've been eating chili peppers lately, really hot ones, because of the capsaicin, and like they're so powerful antioxidants. They're really good for inflammation. And they also boost your resting metabolic rate. So sometimes I'll chop them up into small pieces and I'll throw them in my smoothies. You want to talk about a weird twist of fate? Chocolate, peanut butter, kale, and a little piece of pepper thrown into your smoothie.
Good though. They have like jalapeno chocolate that's delicious.
Amazing. It's amazing. That's where I got the idea. I'm like, why do people not have these available on smoothie bars or like chili flakes to throw into your smoothies? I'm going to challenge all you out there to get creative with your meals and do things like this. Think outside the box. So there's a million things you can do to bulletproof yourself from the common thing. But again, stick to the basics. Go to a restaurant and look at what they have on the menu and just go with like the cleanest option you have at your disposal at all times. If you're buying food at stores and preparing at home, then the sky is wide open. You can get whatever you want and make whatever you want. But from a personal level, I have been feeling a little flabby lately on my sides, and I don't like it. And if June comes and I'm still feeling a little flabby, I'm pulling the trigger and I'm going to add some animal protein back in my diet. And I'm sorry, whoever's listening to me out there, if you're expecting, when I did this vegan experiment, I didn't make any claims like I'm vegan for life or anything like that. I just said, I'm going to go vegan as long as I can. And if I can make it a year, I do. And if I feel at any point it's not working for me, I'm pulling the trigger. And I will go on national TV and say that. And I'm not going to feel any regrets about it. And just like you, I've got a big heart. I love animals just as much as anybody else. I'm on trails walking around and dogs just come running up to me. I just get on my knee and I pet him and I hug him and I take pictures with him. I love taking selfies with people's dogs because I love animals. But years ago, I wouldn't even think about going vegan for more than like 5 days in a row. I'm like, oh man, I would love to go vegan, but I just can't because my body just does so well with meat. I know my body does well with it. So use that as a sign out there for you people as well. Just know and recognize what works best for you. And you were talking about some people can have a high carb diet and do fine, a high fruit diet and do fine, a high meat diet. Some people can eat nothing but meat at all for weeks in a row and be carnivores and be totally fine. And that's great because they figured it out and they discovered it for themselves. I do feel, though, that predominantly plant-based is the way to go. And the word plant-based is used in very different contexts. So some people just eat a ton of vegetables and meat and they call themselves plant-based. And there's other people who call themselves plant-based and that's all they eat are foods they derive from plants. So your definition of plant-based is going to be different than everybody else's as well. There's all these loose terms being floated around, but the bottom line is keep your diet as clean as you can. Try to avoid all the chemicals and poisons. Think happy thoughts. Hug people often. Look them in the eye. Don't believe things that aren't true. And try to put as much good chi out into the universe as you possibly can at all hours of the day. Do you have anything to add to that?
I think that was absolutely amazing. But I would say, yeah, it's keeping it simple. And also remember that no matter how clean your diet is or how amazing you're eating, for emotional reasons, for gut microbiome imbalance reasons, for just like, sometimes it's just, that moment you don't have access to anything else. If you do eat things that are suboptimal, or you do eat a bag of chips, or you do dip off the deep end, or you don't eat a perfect diet all the time, don't hate yourself for it. Just get over it and move on. Even the healthiest people, even like me who eats super clean, and I'm always preaching to people. And my whole career is built around helping people get the healthiest lifestyle. Even I eat a bag of, organic Miss Vicky's chips with the avocado oil every now and then and sea salt. Even me when I make like my homemade fries, sometimes I like deep fry them. Like everybody, you don't have to be perfect. You have to love your life and enjoy your life. And you have to, like, I find that simple things like making a pesto and putting this much green into this much sauce becomes an amazing way to give your body a lot of power. So what I do is I do eat for taste. I do eat because I like it, but I also eat for health. I eat for the planet. I eat for nature. And so find what makes sense for you and don't be too hard on yourself. You don't have to be 100% perfect. If you have trouble eating plant foods, buy a boxed dressing or something to start until you can ease your palate into it. You don't have to shock your system. You don't have to be crazy. Little changes add up and make the hugest difference. And if you just change one thing, like add one healthy habit to your life each week, just one thing, like you go to bed earlier this week, next week you start eating radishes, the week after you eat an apple, the week after, whatever, right? You add stuff. Eventually that'll crowd out the bad habits. And a year from now, you will not even recognize your entire lifestyle or who you are. You will have transformed for the better. So small changes, incremental steps. You don't have to jump overnight and make a radical, power decision for your life. Just drink more water this week. Next week, add something else. And I'm telling you, it'll become a habit. That is the best way to have sustainable changes that you don't even notice happening and that don't make you feel deprived, that make you feel like you're actually abundantly doing more for yourself. So it's all perspective as well. But yeah, it's exciting, right? Like eating healthy is not a crappy thing. You feel good, you look good, you're happy, you have energy, like you feel, that you're doing good thing by the universe by eating clean and not purchasing things with chemicals and stuff. Like this is power. It's the power to create change in the world, in yourself, in your body, in your life. So it's like a really powerful thing what you eat. People don't realize, but it's an amazing thing.
It is amazing. And it takes approximately 22 days for something to become a habit. So if you guys can lock yourself into a, protocol, like she just mentioned, weaning one bad habit out a week or adding one good habit in a week, and then just doing that for 22 days, you're going to find massive changes in a short amount of time, within a month. And it takes approximately 12 to 18 months for every single cell in your body to completely recycle itself. So basically, think about that. If you just give yourself an 18-month block of time to work in, pay attention to what you're eating and drinking through that 18 months. And you're going to reproduce every single cell. You're rebuilding your whole entire body in 12 to 18 months. That's shocking if you think about it. But when you put it into that perspective, it gives you a little bit more motivation to stay cleaner and to stay on track. And I also have to add something else you said, which struck a chord with me, which always does. And it is, don't beat yourself up over anything, really, especially now. I'm hearing a lot of people that are just like they're just so depressed right now and angsty, and they're like, oh, I feel like such a slob. I'm such a slob. I'm just eating all hours of the day, and I mean late at night, and I feel like I'm so out of shape. I've never been this fat before in my life. And they're just giving up all hope. And I'm like, look, this is short term. I mentioned this on a live I did the other day. I'm like, accept yourself for who you are right now. Look in the mirror and love yourself. Love every wrinkle, every piece of flab that's hanging off your belt line, every little nook and cranny of your body. If your hair is out of control because you haven't been to the barber or beautician or whatever, that's totally fine. Accept yourself for where you are in the present moment, exactly right now. That is critical and important. And just know that you have the power to change. And it can start right now. It doesn't even have to wait till tomorrow. You can start right now. You can do one new habit today. You can go outside and pick up one piece of trash right now. And that is a positive thing in the right direction. And that's how small it can be. And those little tiny steps just keep on increasing, and they get bigger and bigger. When you start focusing your attention on something positive, you attract more of it. And you're going to be shocked at how much of a big impact that will have on you. And speaking of trash, for any of you listening that are local, listening live, we're doing a big trash pickup tomorrow, 11 o'clock in the morning. City Park Gazebo is where we're meeting. So if you want to help us pick up trash, PM me, because we're gonna make this town look better. And for the rest of you across the globe, I'm going to ask you all to start a community cleanup tomorrow at 11 a.m. Saturday, tomorrow. That's May 2nd. Get a bunch of people together. You want to social distance, that's fine. There's plenty of room out there in the atmosphere for everyone to stand 5, 6, 10, 20 feet apart with a pickup stick in one hand and gloves and a garbage bag and pick up trash. Because I don't like filth on my earth, and I don't like going to the parks, running barefoot and doing swing Indian clubs and stuff and seeing garbage floating around and bags hitting me in the feet. So the locals out there, Park City, come join us tomorrow. We'll do some trash pickup. Any of you else out there in the world that's listening, go pick up trash tomorrow at 11 o'clock in your town, in your hometown or your neighborhood. And you only got to go for an hour. That's all I'm asking. An hour, 15 minutes. An hour would be nice, but 15 minutes is fine. Brittany, how much longer are you going to be stranded in Panama?
I have no idea. From the looks of it, I'll be here until June 1st at least. But depending on what happens, I was supposed to originally go back to Canada. I might not. I might still do my traveling and all that, though. With travel restrictions, I guess it'll depend on what's happening. So I actually don't know my next steps yet. But I'm most likely going to be here until the borders open, at least until June 1st, I'm thinking.
How strict?
Well, we have the craziest laws. Like,
I was going to say, tell me about
what's even go out with a man. So I happen to be not that far from only men. Like literally everybody here that goes out is only men. I'm very far up, like far from the town. I have no car. Taxis don't pick up women on Women's Day because there's no women taxis. So basically I can't go out, can't leave the house. Actually, it's something, anyway, I'm maybe not going to go into that right now, but on a side note, I'll tell you a story later. Something really scary happened the other day when I tried to walk myself to town. I was desperate, but I'm basically like begging neighbors to go get food for me and asking other people. And I've been eating bad fruit for an entire month because men don't know how to pick fruit. Actually, some guys do, but not the one here, okay? So I'm eating like white watermelons. So yeah, it's been a really frustrating. Like I feel like I literally haven't gone out much in an entire month, but I'm catching up on work. I'm doing a lot more Instagram lives. I'm helping a lot more people. I'm putting a lot more content out there. Nature is healing and reviving. It's beautiful weather. I'm taking sun pretty regularly. And so there's a lot of benefit as well. But yeah, I'm thinking it'll be a bit of a crazy ride here because they kind of are very fearful here.
It sounds like it's very sexist down there. Why are women not allowed out in public? What's up with that?
Well, no, they're allowed out on certain days. Okay, so first they started with a law where your ID card, let's say your passport, you're only allowed to go out. Let's say the last number is 2. You're allowed to go out from 2 to 4. You're allowed a 2-hour window that starts at that hour, and you're only allowed there at that time. So for me, I'm at least an hour's walk to town and an hour's walk back. So then they changed it, which was okay because I was able to do that before because I was walking like with guys here that I trust and that I know and whatever. Not that it's super sketch in Panama, but you'd be surprised how much you stick out if you're not a local, depending if like I'm not in the city, right? I'm in the rural. So it depends where you are, right? It can be a little sketchier. Like a lot of people go missing and stuff here. So anyways, you got to be a bit more cautious. I am anyway. But so I was going with men into town and that was fine. And then they changed it so that same law applies. You're only allowed 2 hours on your given day, but now nobody's allowed on Sundays. And women are allowed Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, only women, and men are allowed Tuesday, Thursdays, and Saturdays. So women and men can't go out at the same time. So basically I lost my rides, anybody who had cars, like taxi lifts, and my own ability to walk safely to town. And I've tried walking myself, and I actually personally believe, and I know this is a bit out there, but I believe that they're actually, I don't think the government did this on purpose, but I find that people that are scouting for women are now out, the nefarious types are out circulating on days when it's only women, like in the mountains, and driving around and looking for women that are now having to walk alone. So I don't really like that. I feel like it got a lot less safe than it was before and a lot more nefarious. And I think that the government did a severe injustice to especially locals, and I mean like tourists and people that aren't local who don't necessarily know the area as well. I think that was a really bad move, safety wise, for women, and I don't understand it. It makes no sense. We're the only place in the world that's doing that. So I really hope that changes back soon. But as it lies now, I don't think they're being sexist. I think people weren't listening to the quarantine, and like couples were out, and people were like making out in the streets, and I think they just got angry or whatever. They're trying to keep even whole families from going out together. They want really just individual people going out minimally. So I think it was a power tactic, but yeah, it wasn't the best one in my opinion.
Wow. Well, out of all of that you just said, one bright spot struck me, and it is this. I love the word nefarious.
Yeah, I love that word too, right? I know. At the end of the day, for all of the negativity, there are so many beautiful things happening right now. The nature's regenerating. There aren't planes out to the same degree. There aren't even chemtrails to the same degree. They still are, but there's less. Nature is getting, nature is getting way more cleaned out. People are getting a chance. I think most of us have been stressed, running around, stuck in the matrix of it all, stuck in the work vibe of it all. So many people who've been complaining that they're exhausted and tired now get to stay home. I know finances are hard, and I'm not saying that that's necessarily a benefit, but a lot of people get to do internal work. We're all it's a time to internalize. It's a time to heal. It is the best time to start a regime, a cleanse, a fast, a detox. Like the whole world
is a whole different lifestyle. Yeah, it's a perfect time to reset the system, the brain, the mind, the body. And also, I've noticed gas prices have gone down, pollution has gone down, skies are clearing up. And here's a big one. Here's a big one that I'm sure none of you even noticed. And believe you me, I have. Brittany, when's the last time you had some scamming telemarketing BS call on your phone?
I haven't had one in a while.
I've had I used to get like 10 to 12 of those a day. This is blah, blah, blah from blah, blah, blah resorts in Las Vegas. I had the first one yesterday in like 2 months. I'm like, are you serious, dude? I shut it off in 2 seconds. And I'm like, it reminded me, it jarred my mind. I'm like, I haven't had any of these stupid calls from telemarketers. Even though I'm on all the do not call lists on the face of the earth, they still find their way to hack in your area code and pretend they're calling you from your town. But I haven't had any of those. And I'm like, oh, hallelujah. It's been so awesome without having my phone blowing up when I'm trying to do other things that are more important. So there are actually
people are compassionate. I don't know if you noticed this, but I personally am doing a lot more pro bono work in this time. First of all, I have more time now that I'm not running around doing errands, doing all that stuff, right? So I'm giving back with that time. But people are all doing that. People are friendly. They're nice. They're going out of their way to help other people. They're supporting cleaning up, the planet, taking this opportunity. People are, and I mean, I think you were doing that before, but a lot more people are stepping up.
Well, we're doing it a lot more now.
Together, where we're uniting more. Human rights are at risk, so people are coming together more. They're sharing information more. People are advocating for natural health more. There's so many beautiful changes that are happening in this time. It's really powerful. I don't personally believe that this is the end of the world as we know it. I think that some evil agendas are trying to do that. I actually think this is the beginning of a quality life in a world that we've never seen before. And I think that this time will be talked about in history for thousands of years. And I think some fundamental things that have needed to happen for close to 200 years are going to happen, and they're going to come out. And I think the truth is literally busting out, and we're getting back to nature, and we're going to start using more sustainable energy sources. I think we're going to start going back to natural, real, actual healing, because, medicine is not what you were saying before. Medicine, I don't think it was evil either to start. I think they were trying to patent obviously natural things and isolate them and find a way to create a lucrative system out of medicine, out of healing. And I think that it was working to mask symptoms, and they were all right, so people are happy and we're making money, it's good. And then eventually, with all the side effects and everything, I think they just realized how much money they could really make off of sickness. And that's why they mainly harmed through not sharing the truth. But the truth is coming out now. And I think in like, I know there's a lot of repression for holistic people. I think in like 10 years from now or 5 years from now, maybe even a year and a half from now, we're going to be actually free again. I think we haven't been free in a really long time since the beginning of human freedom in a really
Yeah.
beautiful way. And so I'm just really proud of all the people who are speaking out and everything amazing that's happening, and all the people who are meditating and connecting and eating clean and getting back in touch with themselves and nature. Like, this is a really powerful thing that we can all do together. So
I agree. And when I hear people say, we're in this together, I'm like, we are in this together. And when my we're in this together is everything you just said. And other people's we're in this together might be a little bit different or whatever. And that's totally fine. But I see all of that happening that you're talking about. And community is starting to gravitate big time right now. And there are people that are waking up. I am seeing the awakening happening. And it just melts my heart. It's awesome. I love to see it and I love to be part of it. Now, we've been rambling on for a long time, so we should probably wrap this up. We can always do many more of these. But where can people find you if they want more information from you, and just run down what you got on tap coming up?
definitely. So you guys can find me on Instagram at Brittany_Weavall. I'll give you all the information for the video. You guys can check me out there. I do weekly or twice monthly Instagram live Q&A sessions where I answer all kinds of health questions for free there every Thursday at 12 p.m. Eastern time. Like I said, sometimes I skip a week, but I'll traditionally mention that if I'm going to miss a week. I have a website, wevolve.io. And I have a membership site platform with a ton of videos and courses and PDFs and information and live monthly group coaching calls, and that I film and actually do Q&As and everything with people that get shared in the tribe. It's basically an entire community of health warriors. So if you guys are looking for literally a protocol for any condition you have, you guys can check that out. I'll give the link down below. I'm also on Facebook at Brittany Auerbach. You guys can check me out there as well. And I'm trying to think, is there any other platform? That's really the basis of it. If you guys want to work with me one-on-one, you can. There's not a ton of availability for it, and there might be a bit of a waiting list as well. But you guys can check out wevolve.io services if you're looking for one-on-one help with your health or anything like that as well. And then there's the Montreal Healthy Girl YouTube channel, which I share information, interviews. I'll probably post this video there as well. And so, yeah, I do collabs and stuff with people, and there's some exciting content coming up. So you guys can check that out as well.
Okay. That was amazing. You are a rock star. Keep on doing what you're doing. You're doing great work, Brittany. I'm so thrilled for you to be in my life. And I'd love to have people like this that think the same way I do, who have the same kind of passion and compassion too at the same time. And just keep on pushing forward. Don't let anyone stop you from doing what you're doing. You've already changed millions of people's lives, and I know you're going to change a million more. So before we depart, though, I have to ask you one very, very personal question, because I ask this to everybody when I close the show. What is your favorite ice cream, and what brand?
Oh my God. My favorite ice cream right now is Cocoa Bliss.
Yum, I love Cocoa. That's my favorite. That's my favorite.
The amaretto cherry one.
I like it, but I don't love it.
It's so good. You know what? I haven't had it in a while. There's either that one, or they have a new ice cream bar that is like, it's a vanilla bean with chocolate coating. It's like the one with the vanilla speckles. That one is probably my favorite. So good. But those two, I really like them. And what was the other question? I got distracted with ice cream.
I probably derailed you, no pun intended, with the ice cream question. I'm always curious, because I'm always looking for more ice cream options. So Cocoa Bliss, I really like Cocoa Bliss. It's made with coconut.
I do too. It's so good. And super clean too.
Yeah. All right. This has been awesome. Thank you very much, Brittany.
I love you. You're absolutely amazing. I love connecting with you. Thank you for the wonderful intro, all the kind words as well. I love that you're doing all the stuff that you're doing and sharing with everybody this information. I think it's so important. Let's definitely do collabs going forward. I miss you. It was nice to be in Florida. We'll definitely hang again soon.
I think we need to have a rendezvous. I think we need to go to Ormond Beach again this Florida and visit Doug Orchard.
I've already made it. Agree. We should do like a retreat week. That would be fun.
Yes. I have some peeps down there too.
I actually want to learn how to do the clubs. My arms are getting flabby here in quarantine too.
Well, I say we go to Doug's backyard. We do some Indian clubs and we do some Gata swinging, and we just have like a picnic weekend or something this summer.
I love it. It sounds amazing.
All right, that sounds awesome.
Out there, stay safe, stay healthy. There's so much you can do. Stay positive. Amazing things are coming. Get excited. We're all together, and love you guys.
I love you all too, and make sure to remember, you are in control of every single thing you do from this moment onward. And remember, always live in the present moment. Always do at least one good deed. every single day without any expectation of anything in return. Always do at least one thing beyond your comfort zone every day, and pick up at least one piece of trash. Those are my closing moment words. And go out there and do something positive. Just do it all the time. Always think in the terms of good and not bad. Evil is always around us. Always think of the solution, not the problem. Till next time, this is K-Ro signing off.